My ex cheated on me with her trainer. After a year, she wanted to get back with me because he cheated on her. Over a year ago, I was deeply involved in what I believed was a promising relationship with Megan. At 28, I had built a comfortable life with her over the course of 3 years. We dreamed of moving in together and even casually discussed the possibility of marriage someday. Life felt secure, and I believed our connection was unbreakable. Things began to change when I got more serious about my fitness journey. I started working out regularly and soon introduced Megan to my charismatic personal trainer, Jake. At 30, Jake had an infectious energy that made him instantly likable, and Megan seemed genuinely interested in his guidance. Initially, I assumed that their growing closeness was strictly professional, a friendly bond that could naturally develop between a trainer and his client. I never imagined that it could spark something more. As the months passed, I noticed subtle changes in Megan's behavior. She became increasingly distant. Her evenings were filled with long, unexplained absences. She would return home late after her workouts, and her phone suddenly became her most guarded possession, frequently set to "Do Not Disturb." Whenever I gently inquired about these changes, she dismissed my concerns, insisting that I was being paranoid. At that time, I convinced myself that there was nothing truly amiss. Then, one evening, the truth was revealed. Megan accidentally left her phone on the counter while she was showering, and I saw a series of messages from Jake. The content of those texts left no room for doubt. They were not about fitness routines or health tips. I confronted her immediately, and she broke down, admitting that she had been having an affair with Jake for several months. She confessed that she had fallen in love with him, insisting that it wasn't about my shortcomings but rather an irresistible pull towards someone else. Within days, she packed her belongings and moved in with Jake, leaving me to grapple with the collapse of the future I had envisioned.
The aftermath was a period of relentless heartbreak and introspection. I spent countless nights piecing together the fragments of my shattered trust, questioning every moment and every word. I cut off all contact with Megan, choosing instead to surround myself with supportive friends and the cathartic grind of gym workouts. Therapy helped me navigate through the trauma, and gradually I began to rebuild a semblance of normalcy, even though the sting of betrayal lingered like a persistent ache. Months passed, and just as I thought I had moved on, the unexpected happened. Out of the blue, Megan reached out to me using a new phone number. My initial reaction was to ignore the massager reflex born of pain and a desire to protect myself from further heartbreak. However, curiosity gradually eroded my defenses. Her voice over the phone was soft and laden with regret. She admitted that her life with Jake had spiraled out of control too, had been unfaithful, and their relationship had crumbled under the weight of deception. In her remorse, Megan revealed that she had been thinking about me for months, haunted by the memories of what we once shared. She pleaded for a chance to meet, to talk, and to prove that she had changed. Now, I find myself at a crossroads. Part of me still harbors feelings for Megan, the warmth of our past intimacy, and the possibility of reclaiming what was lost. Yet another part of me is filled with skepticism and heard a stark reminder of the betrayal I once endured. I am torn between the hope of forgiveness and the instinct to protect myself from further pain. I wonder whether I should allow myself to revisit the past or firmly close the door on what once was. Ultimately, this experience has taught me that love is as unpredictable as it is profound, often forcing us to confront difficult decisions and navigate the murky waters of trust and redemption.
Caught my wife cheating, but her reason was unbelievable. I never imagined I'd be writing about infidelity, yet here I am, piecing together the fragments of a shattered trust. I'm a 28-year-old man who for 5 years believed I had built an unbreakable bond with my partner, a 26-year-old woman, with whom I shared dreams, deep conversations, and a seemingly unshakable mutual respect. Our life together was filled with promise, or so I thought. It all started with subtle changes that, at first, I rationalized away. My partner had always been open about everything, including her phone usage. However, in recent weeks, I began to notice a disconcerting shift in her behavior. Her phone, once a communal object left on the kitchen table, was suddenly always in her hand or swiftly tucked away in her bag. I tried to dismiss it as a temporary need for privacy, but the signs only grew more disturbing. She started staying late at work with increasing frequency, and her weekends, once spent together, were now filled with unexplained absences. Every time I casually mentioned my concerns, her answers were curt and defensive. The communication we had cherished began to crack, replaced by evasions that left me unsettled. Deep inside, a gnawing suspicion took root of feeling that something fundamental in our relationship was amiss. The turning point came one fateful night. She told me she was visiting a friend's house, yet she didn't return until 2 a.m. There was something in the way she carried herself, a subtle air of disorientation, that set off alarms in my mind. Overwhelmed by a mix of anxiety and determination, I made a decision I never thought I'd face. While she was in the shower, I unlocked her phone to search for the truth. There, illuminated on the screen, were text messages that shattered my trust. Flirty exchanges with a man named Tom sprawled across the screen, messages filled with heart emojis and playful banter that betrayed a closeness I had never imagined. One message in particular cut deep. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." The simple words hit me like a freight train, undermining years of shared intimacy and respect. When she emerged from the shower, the panic in her eyes was unmistakable. Yet instead of remorse, she launched into an explanation that defied logic. She claimed she was helping him practice flirting because he's bad at talking to women. I was dumbfounded. Not only did her excuse fail to account for the evidence in front of me, but it also trivialized the emotional betrayal that was unfolding. Desperation crept into her voice as she tried to add more details, insisting they had been acting out scenarios. But to me, every word felt like another layer of deception. I realized in that moment that the person I thought I knew was slipping away, replaced by someone capable of fabricating stories to hide the truth. Unable to reconcile the lies with the reality I now faced, I made the painful decision to end our relationship. I told her to pack her things and leave, despite her desperate pleas for another chance at explanation. Left alone with the echoes of our once cherished memories, I now find myself grappling with the daunting challenge of moving on from a love that was, in the end, irreparably broken. My wife cheated on me with her gym partner. Now she's pregnant, and I have no idea if the baby is mine or his. I never thought my life would turn into something resembling a daytime soap opera. Once, I admired her for her sophistication and elegance. I used to see her as a woman of grace and class, someone who lit up every room she entered. But now, I hardly recognize the person I married. Over time, our shared dreams faded, and our home turned into a battleground of emotions and secrets. It all began when I received a shocking text one morning. The message confirmed my worst fears. She was moving in with her gym buddy. This wasn't just a friend. He was the man she had been having an affair with for a while. To make matters even more complicated, she announced that she was pregnant. I was left reeling, unable to determine whether the baby was his or mine. Instead of taking the sensible step of arranging a paternity test, she brushed off the idea, saying that the thought of having her blood drawn was too embarrassing. I couldn't understand how she could be so careless about such an important matter. For the past week, she had been reaching out to me nonstop. Her phone buzzed with message each one, a plea for me to come back and fix what was broken. She would drop hints and gentle suggestions, trying to lure me back into a life we once shared. But ever since I learned about her affair, I have kept my distance. Although we still live under the same roof, our lives have become two separate islands. I barely speak to her now, and when our paths cross, our conversations are short and filled with tension. Even with all this pain and betrayal, a part of me still cares for her. I remember the woman I loved, and it hurts to see her unravel into someone so unpredictable. I worry about her, even though I know that she has chosen a path filled with mistakes. My lawyer is already informed, and is preparing for what I know will be a messy legal battle. The thought of dividing our lives, our home, and possibly even a child is overwhelming. I told her plainly that moving out wasn't a wise decision, especially when things were already so unstable. I suggested she get legal advice before making any rash moves, but my words seemed to fall on deaf ears. It was as if she had already decided on her own path and was not willing to listen to reason. I couldn't help but feel a deep sadness for her, wondering why she couldn't see that she might be better off alone, rather than tied to someone who clearly wasn't right for her. In the midst of this chaos, I couldn't stop thinking about the man she had chosen. I was curious, almost desperately so, about his role in all of this. I asked her if he was aware of the pregnancy and what exactly he had been told. Her answer was as calm and indifferent as she could make it. He knew about the pregnancy, and in his eyes, it didn't matter whether the baby was mine or his. All he cared about was his love for her. It struck me as odd. Why would a single man choose to get involved with a married, pregnant woman when he had so many other options? In my mind, his choice was baffling. Despite everything, I couldn't help but think that, in his own way, he had a certain charm about him. He had a stable job, his own home, and seemed to be in control of his life. Yet, his involvement in our tangled mess made him part of the problem. I often sit alone and wonder what has led us to this point. How did everything we built together collapse so completely? It feels as though our life has been hijacked by events that are too surreal to believe. I'm left questioning everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and loyalty. I struggle with a deep inner conflict in one hand. I feel betrayed and hurt by her actions. And on the other, I find myself still caring about her well-being. The emotional roller coaster has left me both angry and sorrowful. The situation is complicated further by the thought of a child who might be caught in the middle of this chaos. If the baby turns out to be mine, what does that mean for our future? Will I be forced to share my life, my home, and even my child with a woman who now lives so differently from the one I once loved? These questions haunt me day and night. I can't shake the feeling of dread that comes with the uncertainty of what the future holds. I often lie awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to imagine a way out of this nightmare. Every option seems to lead to more heartache. In this new reality, the simple things in life have lost their meaning. The home that was once filled with laughter and shared dreams now echoes with silence and coldness. Every room reminds me of happier times that now seem like a distant memory. My heart aches for the past, even as I recognize that the future holds only more complications and pain. Looking back, I wonder if there was a moment when we could have saved what we once had. Perhaps if we had been more honest with each other, if we had addressed the small cracks before they turned into huge fissures, things might have turned out differently. But now, every attempt at reconciliation feels futile. The damage is done, and I find myself trapped in a life that is as messy as it is unpredictable. I continue to navigate through this complicated web of emotions and decisions, unsure of what the next day will bring. I remain cautious and reserved, even as a part of me yearns for a return to simpler times. My lawyer advises me on the legal steps I need to take, and I try to follow his guidance, even though my heart is not in it. The future seems to be shrouded in uncertainty, and every decision I make carries the weight of potential regret. In the end, I am left with a mix of resignation and lingering resignation that things have come to this, and hope that maybe, somehow, I can find a way to rebuild my life after all the chaos. It is a journey I never wanted to take, and yet it seems inevitable. As I watch her leave to join her new partner, I can't help but feel a deep sense of loss for the life we once shared a life, that now belongs only to the memories of a love that has long since faded away. I was shocked to find out that my wife was having an affair with a man at the gym. Hey everyone, I just wanted to get this out. I'm not sure what I need to do. I, 42M, have been married to my wife, 40F, for almost 18 years, and we have 3 boys. I thought we had a good marriage with no major issues. About 3 years ago, we went through consecutive miscarriages. I tried to talk about them with my wife, but she wasn't willing to work through it. Then, about a year later, I discovered that she had been cheating on me with a guy from her CrossFit gym for about 5 months. I found the messages on her Instagram account and confronted her. She admitted it when I did. It's been 2.5 years since I found out, and as far as I know, it's over. Here are the things that have been hard for me. After I found out, she continued going to the gym, the same gym and at the same class time as her affair partner, and she still does. She knew that I was not okay with this, but in the shock stage, I didn't put my foot down. The gym and CrossFit are her only real outlet and source of community. I definitely feel it's that cult mentality, and most of her time outside the house is spent there. She has never given me full access to her phone. One time I asked, and she gave it to Mesh, then freaked out and literally smashed her phone. Now, her phone is locked, so I cannot have any access. Yes, there have been 2 or 3 times I looked through her phone while she was asleep once. I found that she had gone to a Halloween event with 5 people from her gym, including him. Also, up until her affair, she never had a passcode or Face ID on her phone. From what I know, her affair partner is part of her circle of friends at the gym, with whom she regularly talks. I asked her if they had any type of contact at the gym. After maybe 2 or 3 months, she said she wouldn't do it anymore because we needed to move on from it. We have been attending counseling. For the first almost 2 years, she wasn't ready for it. And now I feel we're doing it more because I need it. If it were up to her, she would say it's not something that has to happen for us to get better. She admits that she is 100% at fault and that I had absolutely nothing to do with her choice. She has always said that I didn't deserve it, and she will admit that throughout our marriage, she wasn't good to me and never found any fault with me for anything. She had been very difficult, and I feel that she was manipulative in our marriage, not accepting blame and always making me bow down and apologize. She has been kinder more recently. She is making an effort to prioritize us and show more physical affection, which is my primary love language. I feel there have been behavioral changes, but trust hasn't been rebuilt, so my spidey sense is always tingling at some level. I just don't know how to get over it. I think about her betrayal all the time, and I no longer feel I can see her the same way. I have told her a few times in the past few months that I want to separate. I feel conflicted wanting to stay and hoping it will work out, yet also wanting to leave. She is a stay-at-home mom and does some health coaching on the side. My income is probably 95% of our total. When we get into fights or have hard talks about me wanting to leave, she makes it clear that it would absolutely ruin her, as she has been a stay-at-home mom forever. I feel like I'm not an asshole. I've always tried to be an upstanding guy, but I don't know how to reconcile that with ending things when I see that she is trying hard to fix our marriage, yet there are things I'm just not okay with. She is also very much in the mindset that it's been 2.5 years, and it's in the past. Even though I feel she swept so much under the rug, leaving me unresolved since I discovered everything. I'm open to anyone's perspective or advice. Leaving her destitute is tough for me mentally. I can support myself and my boys, and contribute some child support to ensure they are cared for. I would imagine we would have split custody, and despite everything, I want things to be as amicable as possible for the kids. We're going to start with a new therapist. Our previous one moved out of town, so I very well may bring up some of these issues as we start anew. Thanks for any advice, and thanks for listening.